All right, here I am with part two. We're going to go right into the scripture references. Uh, the first scripture reference is 1 Samuel 18, 1 through 4. Now, when he had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. Saul took him that day and would not let him go home to his father's house any more. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan took off the robe that was on him and gave it to David with his armor, even to his sword and his bow and his belt. Trey brought out this scripture to show that Jonathan loved David as his own soul, that he was knit and loved him as his own soul, and also that he made a covenant. Covenant, as he said, is an agreement, but covenant is not exclusively to marriage. So just because someone makes a covenant, it is not mean by any stretch of the imagination that it's referring to only a relationship that would be sexual in nature, or as a couple, or as in a marriage union. It does not mean that that's what it is. There are many covenants that were made throughout the Bible, because it is an agreement. So, just because they made a covenant has nothing to do with it was something sexual in nature. The other part is his soul. He loved him as his own soul. Galatians 5:13 through 14 tells us this: For you, brethren, have been called to liberty. Only do not use liberty as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this: you shall love your neighbors as yourself. Matthew 22:36 through 38. Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. What I draw in that is that Jonathan is loving David in the manner in which God calls us all to love one another. And I'll explain the different loves later on. Hopefully I'll have time, or if not, I'm going to have to go into a third video. But we'll discuss love a little later. The second one is 1 Samuel 19:1. Now Saul spoke to Jonathan his son and to all his servants that they should kill David. But Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted greatly in David. And Trey pointed out that he delighted in David. Once again, there's nothing in this that lets us know that this is anything sexual in nature, anything that is outside of a friendship. So let me go into the scripture. Scripture references. 1 Samuel 18:22. Then Saul commanded his servants, speak to David secretly, saying, behold, the king delights in you, and all his servants love you. Now therefore become the king's son-in-law. 2 Samuel 22:19 and 20. They attacked me at a moment when I was in distress, but the Lord supported me. He led me to a place of safety. He rescued me because he delights in me. And I want to just point out something really quick. The words that are used here, I go to the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, and the words have the meanings. So I'm able to see what the words are in the original text, the Hebrew or the Greek text. And these words are all the same words. So when I use a scripture reference, I'm not bringing something else in that has nothing to do with the same word. So the same delight that's used by Jonathan is the same delight that's used by Saul and the Lord. The next verse is 1 Samuel 20:30. Then Saul's anger was aroused against Jonathan, and he said to him, you son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do I not know that you have chosen the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? I believe Trey pointed out that this was Saul's way of showing that he disapproved of Jonathan's relationship with David because of the nature of the relationship. But what I did was I went ahead and pulled out, this one is a little lengthy, but I pulled out some scriptures that will give us an understanding of how Saul arrived at this point right here. 1 Samuel 15, 1 through 3. What we're going through is what happened to Saul. One day Samuel said to Saul, "It was the Lord who told me to anoint you as king of his people Israel. Now listen to this message from the Lord. This is what the Lord of heaven's armies has declared. I have decided to settle accounts with the nation of Amalek for opposing Israel when they came from Egypt. Now go and completely destroy the entire Amalekite nation, men, women, children, babies, cattle, sheep, goats, camels, and donkeys." 1 Samuel 15, verse 9. Saul and his men spared Agag's life. Agag was the king of the Amalekites. They spared his life and kept the best of the sheep and goats, the cattle, the fat calves, and the lambs, everything in fact that appealed to them. They destroyed only what was worthless or of poor quality. This is him disobeying God. So then, 1 Samuel 15, 24 through 26. Then Saul admitted to Samuel, "Yes, I have sinned. I have disobeyed your instructions and the Lord's commands, for I was afraid of the people and did what they demanded. But now please forgive my sin and come back with me so I may worship the Lord." But Samuel replied, "I will not go back with you, since you have rejected the Lord's commands. He has rejected you as king of Israel." This is the beginning of Saul's problems. He's rejected by God as the king. So now when God rejects him, now this is chapter 15, toward the end of chapter 15. And then we go to 1 Samuel chapter 16, 13 through 14, and we'll see God already moving on a replacement. So 1 Samuel 16, 13 through 14. So as David stood there among his brothers, Samuel took the flask of olive oil he had brought and anointed David with the oil. And the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David from that day on. Then Samuel returned to Ramah. Now the Spirit of the Lord had left Saul, and the Lord sent a tormenting spirit that filled him with depression and fear. 1 Samuel 20, 11 through 10. Now, anytime, we have to understand that the presence of the Lord is seen by all. And if you once showed the presence of the Lord, people can tell it when it leaves. People know. So here is 1 Samuel 20, 11 through 15. We'll see Jonathan recognizing it. "Come out to the field with me," Jonathan replied, and they went out there together. Then Jonathan told David, "I promise by the Lord, the God of Israel, that by this time tomorrow or the next day at the latest, I will talk to my father and let you know at once how he feels about you. If he speaks favorably about you, I will let you know. But if he is angry and wants you killed, may the Lord strike me and even kill me if I don't warn you so you can escape and live. May the Lord be with you as he used to be with my father." Jonathan recognizing that the Lord is no longer with his father. "And may you treat me with the faithful love of the Lord as long as I live. But if I die, treat my family with this faithful love, even when the Lord destroys all your enemies from the face of the earth." Here it is, Jonathan recognizing the Lord is no longer with his father. He's recognizing that the Lord is with David, and he knows what happens when the Lord is with you. Your enemies, as the word says, will become your footstool. So he's saying when the Lord destroys all of your enemies, remember me, remember my family. And that's kind of what happened in with the wall of Jericho, with Rahab. She helped the children of Israel, and she said, we know, they were aware that the Lord is with them. So what they did was, she said, look, if I help you, I want you to save my family, because they knew that the Lord was about to move mightily on behalf of the children of Israel. 1 Samuel 18, 28 and 29, when Saul realized that the Lord was with David, Saul realizes it, and how much his daughter Michal loved him, Saul became even more afraid of him, and he remained David's enemy for the rest of his life. There's more scripture references, which means I'm going to have to do a part 3 and probably a part 4. So I will go ahead and end it now and restart shortly after.